Jillian Young, midwife extraordinaire.
Hi.
I'm a big fan of yours, as you know.
Yes.
This is our second time doing this.
It is.
Or more. We've done a number of episodes. Something on my mind recently that I'd like to talk to you about and get your feedback. The idea of when you hire professionals, you got to let them execute their process, and we're going to tell you if we disagree with something you're asking us. There are various times in my professional career where I'm asked to do things, let's say, that I don't agree with. So how does one deal with that in a professional setting, right?
Yeah.
I like to say, I've got strong opinions, and you're hiring me because you believe that I have the ability to finish the project. Otherwise, you wouldn't hire me. Why hire me? Go do it yourself, hire somebody else, et cetera. So what does one do in a professional setting like ours? Like, hey, you've hired us to see a project through.
Right.
In your case, right, people are hiring you for very serious things, life exchanges, really important stuff. What happens when you don't agree with something that's being asked of you? What do you do in your case?
Yeah, you're asking me my opinion. So essentially, I will always tell my clients that I'm very much Switzerland, as I use that terminology. I'm kind of very much like in the middle. I come and I have my own opinions that I don't bring to births and to clients with me. What I do tell them is, if you ask me for my personal opinion, I will give it to you. But for the most part, the majority of our interactions are going to be me laying out this plethora of information for you. And if situations change, I do doula work, I'm a midwife, as birth sometimes changes, we have to kind of change dynamics or change the game plan, essentially. And so in that case, I have to whip out all these other options and different routes we can take. And essentially what I do is I just lay out all the information. I lay out like plan A, B, C, D. I give them the knowledge, and then they make that decision based off what is best for them and their family. And I'm very much kind of in the background, like I know what I would do, but I also have to kind of put on this separate hat and understand that however they're going to proceed is going to be best for them.
Sure.
And just kind of go from there.
I appreciate that perspective. I do. And look, I'll give you a little detail and see what you think. So in my case, let's say someone hires me for a design project.
Yeah.
And let's say that, no, for sure, I have set processes that I follow, and let's say best practices that it's not just, hey, Alex and his team think this is a best practice, but this is generally how things should go in this area, right? And let's say somebody wants to veer way off of that. There's implications from a development standpoint to those questions, to those issues, right? Like if someone commandeers a project, a client, and says, no, we don't want it this way. We want to do something totally wild, right?
Right. That
maybe in the design phase doesn't seem like a big deal. Okay, we don't agree. I don't like what you're saying, but fine, we'll do it. There are ramifications from development, right? Like how is this odd thing you're asking for or different thing you're asking for going to show up on a desktop versus an iPad versus an iPhone versus all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I've been down this road before, so I'm coming from a place of knowing it's going to add time, cost, effort, frustrations to the process by which I've agreed to do a set of deliverables, right? And it's creating more potentially needless work. How does one deal with that, right? In your case, I get it. You're providing a service. It's really, really amazing, crucial time over a limited period, right? In my case, it's like, hey, I have to see this thing through the end, right? You've hired me to do this project. It might take a month. It might take two, however long it takes.
Right.
What do I do in that case, right? What do I do? That, hey, your requests really could potentially derail the project, right? So I think the answer is I have to tell you when I disagree, right? I've got to send the flare up and say, I don't agree with this. You've hired me, again, not to say yes to every single request, but to guide you the best way possible to the end result.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
You have to. There has to be some sort of balance, right? In between kind of, getting their perspective and their take on things, but also recognizing that this isn't what they do. This is what you do.
Yes.
So there has to be that kind of mutual respect for having that balance.
Sure.
If that makes sense too.
Yeah. I often say, look, you deal with the website, I'll deal with the website, you run your business, right? Like hire me again, let me see it through to the end. I'll say in a lot of sales calls, and I hope this doesn't come across salesy, but it's like, I equally want to be happy with the work. I don't just want you to be happy. I want to be happy.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to put it on my portfolio. I want other people to hire me because of the good work I've done with you.
Yes.
It's in everybody's best interest that we do something phenomenal. Look, I'm not an accountant, right? It's not black and white. It's not it's correct or it's incorrect. I'm in a very creative field. So what looks good to you, I might disagree, and vice versa, which is the difficulty in this, right? Is who's to say who's correct? I just maybe have a little bit more experience, but that doesn't mean you should like what I like.
Absolutely.
So I will go out of my way, have a project now happening, standard 10-page site. It's just taking longer to get to the point where I am happy to share a prototype, a version with the client. Sometimes it takes half a day or a day. Sometimes it takes us a few days. It can be a struggle at times. Again, it's creative. It's not black and white. I always say I'm going to put in the time irrespective of the financials of it. I have to. I can't help myself. I am who I am. I want to be proud of the work. I'm bordering 1,000 projects in my career. I'm bordering 40 years of age.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I got to do, if I'm not going to do it now, when the hell am I going to do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I have to own the process and really, that's my feeling these days is I got to do my best to provide the best possible result to every single client that comes in here, or else what the heck am I doing? Right?
Absolutely.
What am I doing? So what other feedback could you potentially give me with respect to, maybe managing an expectation, or maybe I come across a little bit strong sometimes?
No, I think just how is that kind of managed when you feel like you have to sort of whip out this perspective of like, okay, we're going to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And how do you find the best time? At what point do they start intervening so much that you finally feel like, okay, I've got to say something right now? Like, how does that work for you now? And how does that work? Do you say, hey, let's get together and have a meeting about it? Is it in person? Is it like via like call, text, email? Like, what is your best way of kind of getting that forward?
So many things going in my mind, but a couple points. The number one, I'm always a video if they're not in town, or let's meet person.
Okay.
Recently, someone actually said to me, Alex, one of the reasons that I hired you was because you took the time to show me your face when I'm on the other side of the country, when other people just want to get off the phone quick and easy, right? So I'm really pro sharing of getting and talking. I'll do so proactively, like a different client in the medical field. We presented something.
Right.
I'm really happy with the result. Took a couple of iterations, but I'm really happy prior to sharing it. They're like, oh, it's a little busy. We want you to remove X, Y, Z. I said, look, let's talk about it on camera first. Join me either in person or on Zoom.
Okay.
Let's go item by item, because my fear is that we're going to overdo and unwind things that I think are great for the sake of let's just get clarity on what you're actually asking me so that we don't undo good work that we've already done, right?
Right, yeah.
And last kind of thought on this point is everybody's different. Just like I'm in a creative field and it's not black and white, relationships aren't black and white. Expectations of the client is like my feeling or vibe with that particular person, it might be different. It's different all the time. So, but I think in general, it's like, I got to be proactive. If something comes up, I got to say it. I don't think you're doing something wrong by managing expectations or by raising your hand and saying, hey, this isn't really my process, or this isn't how we do things. I think you're actually doing good for the relationship. It might feel like, oh, I have to do everything in my power to always say yes. But I mean, who are you helping there, right?
Right. So when do you kind of make that decision, though, of when you need to say something? Is it kind of they say one thing one time and you're like, okay, like we're going to kind of see how we can work around this? Or is it immediately like, okay, I need to have this discussion because if we continue to move forward, and then they continue having this thought process where they want to change or tweak, and like how long do you let it go until you kind of make that?
The answer is I don't know. The answer is it depends on the relationship. Yeah. I will say that as I continue to advance in my career, I do find myself kind of trying to get to the point faster. If for any reason,
absolutely,
it's just because I'm so busy.
Yeah, time.
Everyone always says, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm so busy," and I'm like, "But it's self-inflicted. I keep doing it. It's my doing, right? So I can't. It is
I know. I feel that.
You know,
Yes.
I'm the only one who can take responsibility for that. So yeah, it depends on the relationship. I personally appreciate brevity as much as possible. I'm not really a long email and outline person. I'm like an action person, Figma person, get your feedback quickly person. But yeah, it really depends on the relationship. And I do want to make sure I always do try also to set reasonable expectations. A client the other day, potential client, cool guy, has a really interesting like political satire type business. Like him a lot. He said a couple things, and I just said, look, I got to be honest with you here. A and B that you said just isn't going to work for me. I appreciate that that's what you like. It's just not my way. I have a system here, and I can't do it that way.
Yeah.
If you want me to do it, here's the way I can do it. I can't do it that way.
Right.
If it doesn't end up working out, it's for a reason. Wasn't meant to be. Saved me some headache or saved the client some headache. It wasn't the right meshing of people, of personalities. So I think that's the biggest takeaway. Hire me because you believe in my process and the ability for me to see it to the end, and walk with me down that process to get to the end result that we both desire so much.
Yes, I agree.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Bless you. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.